Bike fit is hands down the most important thing when it comes to your bike, and even if you're just a few millimeters off of the mark, that could be the difference between being in pain all the time versus actually enjoying riding your bike and falling in love with cycling. One of the most important aspects of bike fit to get right is properly adjusting your saddle, and the best way to find out which position is right for you in terms of performance and comfort comes down to trial and error. So here's how to properly adjust your saddle. What's up? I'm Zach Gallardo. Life is short, but don't make it shorter. So be sure to ride your bike every day to be reasonably dangerous, even if it is just a solo ride. And be sure to hit the subscribe button and the like button to make sure that YouTube recommends you more fixed gear videos just like this one. Speaking of getting an absolutely perfect fit, our channel sponsor Wabi Cycles pays very close attention to detail to make sure that you get a bike that's perfect for you. Wabi allows you to customize fine details like your stem length, crank arm length, and gear ratio to make sure that you get on a bike that feels like a well-tailored suit. And even if you don't know which measurements you should get, it's all good because Wabi's very friendly and helpful staff will help you to spec a bike that you will absolutely love to ride. Feel free to check out the buildup of my Wabi by clicking the card above, and check out Wabi Cycles by clicking the link in the description. Properly adjusting your saddle to your unique body is paramount to your comfort and performance on the bike. Basically, if you get your saddle positioning right, you'll be able to ride faster and farther and more comfortably for the same effort. And there's 3 adjustments that you need to keep in mind: the saddle height, the saddle angle, and the saddle fore aft position, how forward and how back on the rails it is. It's really important to only adjust one thing at a time, because in order to dial in your saddle, you'll need to make very fine adjustments, know what adjustments you're making, and know what effect it has on your performance and your comfort. So be sure to only adjust one thing at a time. Along with that, getting the appropriate saddle height, angle, and fore aft position takes a lot of trial and error, since everybody is very different. Fit calculators are great for getting you into the general ballpark of what will be the best for your performance and comfort, but they're not the end-all be-all because they don't take account for a lot of variables like your foot length, the type of pedal system you're using, the type of shoe you're wearing, or how sensitive your male reproductive organs are. Trial and error and patience will get you the best fit for your saddle. First up, here's how to properly adjust the saddle height. Most riders have their saddles too low, and that's because it feels safer to ride with a lower saddle. If you're sitting on your saddle and you can touch the ground with your feet, your saddle is way too low. And even if you can't touch the ground with your feet, it still may be too low for you. You won't know how high your saddle should be until you know exactly how high is too high. Just raise your saddle in increments of 1/2 inch or 1 centimeter, and then ride 5 to 10 miles and see how it feels. Keep repeating this process of raising your saddle by 1/2 inch or 1 centimeter, and then riding 5 to 10 miles until you figure out exactly how high is too high. Once you reach the point where it feels like you have to tiptoe to pedal, or you have to extend your leg more than what's comfortable for you, then back down 1 centimeter, and that will be your proper saddle height. Once you get a proper saddle height, you can fully extend your leg for each pedal stroke. If the saddle is too low, each time you raise the saddle, it'll feel like your bike is getting lighter and that you can go much faster than before. At the proper saddle height, you'll get the maximum biomechanical efficiency since you can fully extend your leg. After adjusting your saddle height, or even during the process of adjusting your saddle height, you may find that the angle of the saddle is too uncomfortable for you to ride. So here's how to get the proper saddle angle. Most people find that a saddle at or close to parallel with the ground is the most comfortable. Because of some anatomical differences in hardware, let's say, between guys and gals, most guys find that a saddle angle pointed slightly upward is comfortable, whereas most gals will find that a saddle angle pointed slightly downwards is most comfortable. As always, everybody's very different. Your mileage may vary. Again, it's important to make sure that you're only adjusting one thing at a time. So if you're in the middle of finding your appropriate saddle height, but you're finding that the angle is getting a too uncomfortable for your nether region, don't both raise the saddle and then change the angle, but only do one at a time so you'll know exactly what changes you're making and how it's affecting your comfort. To find the proper saddle angle for you, start off with your saddle parallel to the ground. If you want to make sure that your adjustments are super precise, you could even use a level to make sure that your saddle angle is 0. And then ride your bike for 5 to 10 miles and determine whether you need to point your saddle up or point your saddle down, but only make very small adjustments. If you have a 1-bolt seat post like this one with ridges, make sure that you only adjust it 1 notch at a time in the same direction. Or if you have a 1-bolt seat post like this one where you slide the clamp along the seat post, make sure that you only move the clamp 1 to 2 millimeters at a time. And with 1-bolt seat post, since the saddle angle and the fore-aft position are adjusted with the same bolt, make sure that you take note or even mark on your saddle rails your saddle's starting fore-aft position to make sure you're only changing the saddle angle and not the fore-aft as well. With 2-bolt seat posts, it's a bit easier since the fore-aft and the angle change independently from each other. And if you have a 2-bolt seat post, make sure that you only adjust it in increments of about a 1/4 turn or a 1/2 turn at a time. Make sure that the change is consistent and then repeat the process of riding 5 to 10 miles and changing your saddle angle until it feels comfortable. Saddle pain happens when your weight rests on your tender perineum instead of on your sit bones as the Lord intended. And the saddle angle that's right for you will also be affected by 2 personal things: your personal bike's saddle to bar drop and your personal level of fitness. If your bike has a bigger saddle to bar drop and it has a more aggressive riding position, you might want to angle your saddle more down than you would compared to a more neutral or more upright riding position. That's because with a more aggressive riding position, more of your weight is supported by your hands on the handlebars and your feet during pedaling. And the opposite is true if you have a more relaxed and upright riding position. In that case, your sit bones will be supporting more of your weight, and you'll want to angle the saddle more upward to compensate for that. And then there's your personal level of fitness. If you are a stronger rider and you're always laying a lot of power down through the pedals, then you might also want to angle your saddle more downward, since again, the pedaling force of your legs will be supporting more of your weight. But if you're someone that likes to cruise, then a more upright angle would be appropriate. Lastly, you'll need to get the proper fore-aft position of your saddle, how far forward or backwards your saddle is on its rails. Getting the right fore-aft position allows for your legs to pedal at an efficient angle, and it also gives you a good weight distribution to make your bike corner more confidently. The most popular way to find the correct fore-aft position is called COPS, and it stands for knee over pedal spindle. To do the COPS method, put your drive side crank arm at the 3 o'clock position, get a string with an even weight at the end of it, align it up with the center of your knee, and the weight should align with the middle of the pedal spindle. If you find that the weight dangles in front of or behind the pedal spindle, then move your saddle forward or back on the rails accordingly. This system mostly works under 2 conditions. Number 1, for most road and track frames, and number 2, for people who don't have extreme proportions. That's to say, people with arms and legs that are either super short or super long. I will admit that the COP system is not perfect, and it's not terribly rooted in physics or physiology, but it works well for most people. This will get you in the ballpark, but again, bike fit is very personal, and really dialing it in comes down to trial and error. And it's up to you to make these micro adjustments as you ride your bike to figure out what works best for you to make you the most comfortable and perform the best. It's important to know though, you shouldn't adjust the fore-aft position of your saddle if you're trying to reach the handlebars more comfortably. In that case, it's a better idea to get a longer or shorter stem so you're not changing your bike's pedaling angle and making it less efficient and less comfortable for you to ride. Feel free to check out this video of my buildup of my Wabi Special, and Fixie famous shout out to Stand Strong 108 and Ryan Witt for supporting the channel through Patreon to help make these fixed gear videos possible.